we go back and forth in these comments and think that there's no similarities we share with the person you're arguing with. And as soon as you get face to face, I am a firm believer that a root of human nature is we share a lot more similarities than we differ, whether it's skin color, religion, sexual orientation, where
For
you're
sure.
from, what your political view is. Like, I promise I can sit down with anyone. We're going to have 10 times more thing we can relate to than what we differ. So when you
Yeah,
get face to face, I think those things come to light
for
naturally
sure.
where we're like so hyper focused on, oh, I
Yeah,
want to get my point across on why this guy's wrong when we're in these comments. And I couldn't agree more. Like you get
yeah.
face to face and have that opportunity, it could be a game changer.
But I mainly talk about a lot of shit. I mostly started this because I'm super passionate about, just mental and physical health. And then as I become a father, it's become kind of more centered around that. And then ultimately kind of like longevity and some protocols that um, can help us humans just be more active in our daily lives. But then also, too, social media as a whole and kind of how that correlates with everything I just mentioned. And I think like your app encompasses all that because I think that is the future of social media. And I'm excited to kind of pick your brain on, why you came up with the idea and the launch and all that. So if you can kind of give us a little bit of origin story of kind of you, your background, and what One Post is all about.
100%, man. And can't thank you enough for bringing me on again. I'm sure
Sure.
as a father in this day and age of social media, it's been scary knowing
Yeah.
that they're just going to be preyed on by these data tracking algorithms, this, that, and the other, right? Suggested ads. Everything they're doing now is a data point. It's a metric that's being tracked somewhere and then being leveraged for something.
Mm.
Luckily, guys like us, we kind of came into that day and age what, maybe 5, 6 years ago, where these algorithms really took over and started being the thing pushing most content on every platform, right?
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, with your kids, right, they're going to start getting this stuff collected from them the moment they make an online presence, right? I'm
Right.
not saying they're there yet, but it's kind of scary seeing that, hey, these kids are going to have everything that they've ever done online tracked by the time they're 7, 8, 9 years old, right? So it's a weird day and age we're stepping into, and that's why I think One Post as a whole resonated with so many people from old to young, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, what is One Post? It's Instagram without the noise, right? No algorithms, no ads, no suggested content. There's no reels, no doom scrolling, right? We're bringing the photo back to the centerpiece of the platform because I think that's what people really miss. You'd go on there, you'd see your followers' content, you would post, your followers would engage with your content, right?
Right.
So it was a day and age where it was exciting to engage with people on social media. And nowadays you're competing with suggested content, right? That's being pushed from some advertisement company trying to
Sure.
promote some service or product, or an algorithm that's saying, oh, you liked 20 different baseball videos in the last week. Let me post a bunch of baseball card advertisements on your feed, right? So we're removing that and saying, I think the user knows what they want to see. I think they kind of have developed the people they want to follow because of their interests. So let's
Mm.
just show them that, right? The
Yeah.
thing that really also resonated with people is bringing back reverse chronological order because Instagram's become such a wash that you kind of get lost when you open that platform. It feels like your attention's being dragged every which way except for on that feed. So you end up, probably getting sucked into a doom scrolling pit for hours or, you know, just looking at everything except for the feed because your feed, every time you scroll, you're going to see ads, you're going to see suggested content. And then maybe if you get lucky, you see your favorite football player who scored a touchdown and you get to like
Yeah.
that or share it with your friends, right? So yeah, we're kind of just trying to put the user back at the center and not exploit them for their data, not leverage them for trying to figure out what they like and their tendencies. I think people know what they like, and if you need an
Yeah.
algorithm telling you what you want to see, I think that's the whole issue with modern social media. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the essence of One Post. And um, in terms of inspiration, there's been a lot of attention around Instagram in general, just on social media and on TikTok, on Reels itself. Funny enough, I've seen tons of influencers and just everyday people like me venting about how it's exhausting, right? It's like you go
Yeah.
on there and it's you get off and it's like, dang, I feel like I just put in a 9 to 5 with my attention span. And
Sure.
I saw so many videos of people just saying, "Man, I miss early Instagram. What happened to media? What happened to our socials?" It resonated with me. That was at least 10, 20 videos. And then I was like, well, I don't come from a technical background, but today we've got tools where you can bring something to life. And I'm a builder, I'm a tinkerer, and I've built out a bunch of different things. But this was the first one I built out that something told me, put something out there about it. Let the world know that you built this and that there's a solution for this.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, overnight, 75,000 likes, 500,000 views, 3,000 comments of enthusiastic people saying, please, when is this rolling out? I've been begging for this for years. This would be amazing for me as a artist, as an influencer, as a creative. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people were like, oh, without algorithms, how are people going to discover creators' content? And it's going to be back with organic peer-to-peer sharing, hashtag discovery, purely interest-based content discovery, not algorithm-based, right?
Yeah.
So I put that video out. It went absolutely viral. The response was overwhelming. It was extremely encouraging. And someone as a founder, there's nothing more encouraging than validation of your idea. I think we all, as founders or tinkerers, come up with these things and we think they'd be good. But to see it firsthand overnight, get the traction it did, was all the encouragement I needed to just turn into a psycho until this
Yeah.
gets out, So it's been
That's
a lot of
awesome.
sleepless nights since. We brought on a developer from Amazon and GoDaddy. They're really technical and kind of pick up where I can't really
Yeah.
in terms of building this out properly, scalable on a foundation that's not going to jeopardize user data. I don't know if you saw the T app in the past couple months. Did you ever
Mm-mm.
catch wind of that one?
No.
Um, Basically, a guy kind of like me, non-technical background, came up with this idea to help women date safer, which is a great concept. And it's
Yeah.
basically an open source of information about any guy out there. It's a woman-only platform, and girls can go on there, make a profile themselves, and track down maybe a guy from their past or someone they're looking to date, and can find their profile and see what other women have said about this person. Can get weird in terms of, hey, are people going to be lying about guys on here? However, it's a safe space for women to go and say, oh, this guy seems to date a lot of women or treat women poorly, or there's a lot of negative attention around this guy. It's just a way for girls to get a little insider info on a guy before they go on a date with them and haven't met them before, which is a
Huh.
great concept in all. And it took off. It went number one on the App Store for the past several months until a couple weeks ago. Because it wasn't secure, it wasn't built properly, this guy wasn't technical, he basically vibe coded it and rolled it out. Giant data breach. Millions of women's information got leaked. Photos, personal information, contact information,
Oh,
this, that, and the
shit.
other. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is not rush something out that isn't secure. We think
Sure.
this is gonna take off and scale very quickly. We're gonna incentivize people who are early on the platform to share and bring other users to it because the more the merrier, right?
Yeah.
But in order to do that, we have to build a safe, strong infrastructure, and that's why I brought in some really technical, talented guys that are going to develop this the right way. So yeah, if anyone was worried because I'm not from a technical background, just wanted to reassure people, hey,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
doing this
Yeah.
the right way.
Yeah. That's smart. I mean, and there's a ton of examples of, tech bros trying to do this thing on their own and then it flips up sideways. So yeah, no, kudos to you for taking your time and doing this the right way. Um,
Appreciate it,
I
man.
I am curious though because I'm a founder myself. I've owned my own content agency for 5 years now, and I just recently launched an apparel brand. So I'm a one man show, and I get how challenging and those sleepless nights. So I could relate for sure. And then when it comes to like profit, I am curious. I don't know if you've thought this far ahead because obviously we know maybe people don't know, but Meta, TikTok, I mean these big platforms, the reason they're able to profit and be worth billions of dollars is because they're quite literally taking every single user and selling our data. That's how it's working. So when you see these ads that pop up and you're like, "Oh, me and my wife just talked about that." Yeah, that's because you literally are giving your phone permission to listen to everything and then it geo tracks ads for you. And that's not just on social media, that's with Hulu and YouTube and you know, pick the platform. So That's how they're able to make billions of dollars, and just within a couple decades. People forget that Facebook is only 20 something years old. So how is Zuckerberg worth so much money? It's because of us. It's because we've literally given that right to him. And unfortunately, this is the question I want to ask you is twofold, because our government wasn't able to catch up to this, and now there's no way to backpedal to it. So they should have put in these measurements 20 years ago to protect our data, so that way companies like Facebook and Google can't profit off literally having our data everywhere. But now it's too late. So now we're screwed as society. The apps, they're not going anywhere. It's only going to get crazier and crazier. So like you as a founder for One Post, and as you continue to scale and build, like what is the plan in terms of profiting? If you've thought this way, I mean, are we talking to advertisers? Because obviously you're not going to be selling data like these other guys. So how are you planning on making a profit?
This is a fantastic question. Same kind of question I've been thrown at by a lot of potential investors and angel investors, pre-seed guys. They're
Sure.
like, "Hey, I love the idea. This is great, but if you're not selling data and you're not, letting advertisers into the platform, how are you going to profit?" And it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. Well, here's what, like, I can say: we reject ad-based monetization and data selling, and I think there's a lot of streams of revenue to go down that
Sure.
don't involve exploiting our users, right? Here's what our basic strategy is. We're going to build a really sticky product, a superior platform, get users addicted to the right things. And I hate to use the word addicted because that's kind of what these social media platforms have been doing. I just want
Sure.
people to get stuck to authentic connection,
Mm,
chronological simplicity, authenticity and intentionality when it comes to posting, because it's one post a day, right? So we're not letting influencers promote products with 30 posts a day on this platform, right?
right.
So we're gonna get an engaged user base that genuinely loves this platform, and then we're gonna roll out a premium feature ability, right? That gives people the opportunity to leverage their own data for themselves, right? We're not going to sell data to some third party app or some advertising agency or some conglomerate that wants those data points because it's gold to them. We're going to sell
Hmm.
it to you, right? So, for example, I know a lot of these other social media platforms have rolled out subscription based models before. For example, Be Real Plus charged users for profile views, additional posts. LinkedIn Premium monetizes from profile analytics and who viewed your profile, right?
Right.
Instagram rolled out the blue check feature that now anybody can buy. And Twitter Blue or X Premium, right, charges for verification and
Yeah.
priority visibility, right? So things like that have proven that a subscription model within these social media platforms can work. The thing is, this isn't enhancing any of the experience for those users on those platforms because they're still being subjected to targeted ads, algorithms, and all that in between, right? We're setting something up that's going to allow users to never be exploited for those things. They're going to be able to leverage it themselves. So we haven't worked out the specific tiering,
Sure.
but different opportunities are going to be things like advanced analytics, right? See who unfollowed you, see who shared your content, see who viewed your profile, right? Which is great for an influencer trying to promote a new album or thing they're rolling out, right? Or good for an individual who's looking for a girlfriend like me that says, "Oh, Katie just viewed my profile. I'd love to message her," you know?
Yeah.
So things like that, right? We'll leverage. See who or things like carousels we've been debating, but possibly for a higher subscription tier, give people the ability to throw on a singular post maybe two pictures, right? To say, "Hey, I went on this vacation. Here's me and my friends, and then here's me going down the water slide," right? People seem to really like the carousels, and I don't
Hmm.
think that overwhelms the feed feature. Another subscription tier might be able to allow people to repost once a week, maybe once a day. I haven't hashed out the
Sure.
finer
Yeah.
details of some of these things, but
Well, you're in
a
the
lot
early
of these
stages
things,
too, so I'm sure it'll develop
exactly,
once you get the ball rolling. I'm sure ideas will come, and yeah.
100%. And as someone that's been an avid social media user for a while, there used to be a day and age where you could use third-party apps to see who viewed your profile on Instagram.
That's right.
TikTok, if you're under 5,000 followers, gives you the ability to see who viewed your profile. And
Right.
as someone that loves social media and is building a social media platform, that stuff is invaluable to the user.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff to have that
Yeah.
I can guarantee a free to paid conversion rate on some of those offerings at a very low subscription tier, maybe, $1.99, $2 a month, something like that.
Yeah.
Give users that ability. And in a subscription based era that we've kind of jumped into in these past 10 years, I
Yeah.
don't think people will have any issue letting that come out of their
Yeah.
account every month.
No.
Something I don't want to do, but I've also considered, is when we roll out our early beta, give users some of those capabilities early for free, and then
Sure.
switch it to a, hey, if you want to continue to see who viewed your profile and continue to
Yeah.
see who shared your content and who unfollowed you, pay $1.99 a month. Higher
Right.
subscription tiers will give you different offerings and different slices of data and different capabilities, but that's the essence of our subscription model. And I do think we have a good chance of converting a lot of free customers over to the paid side. Maybe not 100% conversion rate, but a higher
Yeah.
percentage than platforms like LinkedIn or some of these other ones, where people already feel like, dude, what's the point?
Yeah.
I'm not even engaging with my following anyway. So
Right.
I think this is
Well,
going to be really good for people.
yeah, no, and I agree. I think when it comes to play devil's advocate as someone who owns a content agency, I could tell you that for me as a creator and someone who's worked with, large brands, the whole metrics thing, that's a big deal, as you pointed out. Like LinkedIn charges an arm and a leg for metrics that every platform gives away for free, but because they've been sold as like LinkedIn for professionals and you're going to get an ROI when you pay the premium fee and you could chat with big brands and big celebrities and blah. But really, it's just a bunch of horseshit. There's no there's no long term benefit to that. They just want obviously your
Exactly.
money because they're still selling your data. To your point, so I think something where you're talking about is very interesting because as a creator, I would show them those metrics because instead of my following, because following really isn't that important anymore, the metrics of people viewing your videos or viewing your post or viewing whatever you're putting out there, that's a big deal to brands because obviously they want the engagement. So uh,
Huge.
to
It's
me,
huge.
I,
And
I
that's
wouldn't mind paying a couple bucks a month to get access to this, something like that. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another point I did see brought up a couple times in the comments, that there was, I'd say, an overwhelming amount of comments were 100% encouraging, but there was
Hmm.
some questions that people had. Some
Sure.
people were like, well, if there's no algorithm showing me stuff, then how is this going to be good for creators? How am I going to
Right.
discover someone else that's new, right? On the contrary, I think this is the best platform for a creator, right? Because now you're not competing with this pay to play world where
Right.
influencers can now pay, a couple $100 to have their uh, promotional content pushed to the top of feeds.
Hmm.
And it's unfair for, your everyday user like a you trying to build a brand from the ground up. Me,
Yeah.
I'm a musician. I love to make music, and it's impossible to compete with some of these bigger companies that have bottomless pockets, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's great for the OG, original, authentic creator that wants to put out content and have the people that follow them see it. Because now you're going to be able to say, if I post a picture promoting my new album, I can guarantee that it over 50, 60, 70% of my following cohort will see that. I can't guarantee they'll engage with it or share it, but at least it's going to be on their feed as opposed to mixed in to the wash that feels like almost like a slot machine every time you're on Instagram now. You're like, I
For
don't
sure.
know, next swipe if it's going to be a suggested post, a
Right.
reel, some ad telling me I should buy this, or some
Sure.
influencer promoting their service for the 30th time that day. Now it's going to be, hey, you're building this company. You rolled out a cool new shirt or hat. I did see your company, by the way. Love the stuff. I'll
Thanks, dude.
definitely be a customer.
I appreciate it.
um, but now you're going to post, and you know that, hey, you only get one post a day, but at least your viewers are going to see it. The people that are
Yeah.
following you will see that because they're loving the platform. They're scrolling. They love the reverse chronological order. So they're going to scroll back till they, get back to the last post they saw. They'll be all caught up, which people also loved on Instagram, which they took away.
Yeah.
So I think those things will be really powerful for a creator, right? For
Yeah.
an influencer, for an artist, someone trying to build a natural, organic following. So
Yeah. And I
I think it's
think
going to be a
there,
good platform for them.
yeah. And I think there's one point that I'm sure you're thinking about, but maybe it's not in top of mind for you, but it should be, which is when people do give you those rebuttals. I mean, me personally, I would say, listen, look on how much time you're spending on Instagram and TikTok. So if you are a musician, if you are a creator, if you are a business owner, and you're spending 6 hours a day on social media. The benefit with one post is it's one post a day. You're going to post once. It's going to be the best work. It's going to be the most high quality thing you can put out there because it's all about quality, not quantity anymore. And now that took you 30 minutes. You're going to scroll less because, sure, maybe you're not following 5,000 people like you are on TikTok. You're only following your close friends, your favorite celeb, whatever. Now you're spending 30 minutes, an hour on one post. So now that 5 hours that you have left over that you were doom scrolling, imagine the creative shit you can do in 5 hours.
Oh my God.
I mean,
There's endless, endless possibilities. You
yeah,
can be making music in that time, or
yeah,
driving your brand, or meeting with true customers out in the world.
right.
So
God
I couldn't
forbid,
agree more.
maybe spend time with your family. Crazy. I mean,
Eh,
that could be a
Can you
nuts,
imagine
insane. What a crazy thought. Yeah,
getting
it's
fresh air?
oh yeah.
Crazy, crazy idea.
And I've gotten a taste of this, not obviously using an app like yours because I don't think there's anything really out there. I mean, there was like Vero that was kind of whack. I don't know if it's still around, but
I remember
um,
that.
I wasn't really a fan just because of the look and the feel. But it worked kind of similar to where like you would have to work at your following, and there was no really algorithm. And the reason they didn't make it was just it was too much. It was too busy. It was too much shit going on.
Yep.
I like the simplicity aspect of yours just because I've used like app blockers, like things called Brick. I don't know if you've heard of them, but
Okay.
Brick, it's like a little it's just a little device. It's like magnetic, and it works similar to like Apple Pay,
Hmm.
and you essentially lock your phone. So you can't use any apps. You pick what apps it'll lock, and unlike like I have an iPhone, so unlike that thing that pops up and says, "Hey, you have 10 minutes left" or whatever, and oh, you can't use your phone, you could press dismiss and just keep scrolling, right? So, but with this thing, you have to physically get up and tap this device to unlock your phone. And it's a bitch. If you put it like downstairs and you're working upstairs, it's a nightmare because you don't want to go downstairs. So, the reason I bring that up is because I've spent now 30 minutes a day on my phone versus the 6 hours I used to spend scrolling in a day. And there's so much stuff that I'm doing more. I'm spending more time with my kid. It's I'm going outside more. Like I'm playing with my dog more. Like things that I used to do before I was like hardcore scrolling. And I think what one post could bring to that is just getting your life back and realizing that instead of thinking, oh, but I'm a creator, I need to post 10 times a day to make money. How about just fucking don't spend money? Don't go to Starbucks and spend $10 on a coffee. Just chill, relax. Life is good, man. You don't need to be on your phone all the time because you can make money face to face. You can make money over the phone. You don't have to use this artificial social media to make a profit. And I
Yes,
think
man.
that's how we need to we need to switch it on, especially with like this whole AI thing that's going on, which I want to talk to you about real quick before we get off one post. But there's a fascinating thing that's happening to where now every feed that I see, or excuse me, everything in my feed that I see is either someone talking about the benefits of AI or someone talking about, hey, I made this video and it's way better with AI. And it's like now that's all we're really talking about. Like that's all we're seeing. There is no creativity. There is no musician just sitting in his garage, raw dogging, right, with the amp, just having a good time and playing. It's the musician that kind of enhanced the vocals and enhanced the audio with Premiere enhanced speech. And then the background is like, he's in hell and he's jamming out and it's all AI generated by Firefly. It's like, this isn't even real anymore. Like we're just watching a bunch of bullshit. Like every post
Hmm.
is just fake. And it's like, what is it going to be in
Um,
5 years? It's terrifying.
Dude, and yeah, we're just scratching the surface with some of these
Yeah.
AI generating models, and people are already getting fooled. It's crazy. I want
Nuts.
to touch on your point of like where you have been saving a lot of time and being able to kind of get back to what you used to love because of this device. It's kind of
Mm.
scary that we've had to develop a device like this to get people
So
to get
true.
off their phones a little freaking more. And
So true.
that's the day and age we're in, and I think that's because of some of these predatory algorithms have been set and pushing content that is gonna release that dopamine quickly
Mm.
especially for a young user that loves this short form, fast paced content. Swipe, 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 another release, to the point where it's now become where when they're off their phones. I used to be a teacher. I taught 11th, 12th grade physics and calculus and computer science for a couple of years right out of college because COVID hit and one thing led to another and just needed work, right?
Right.
And it was great. It taught me so many life lessons, and I enjoyed my time teaching more than anything. Unfortunately, that's a whole nother discussion in terms of why teaching isn't a great viable career path for a lot of people right now. But what
Yeah.
it did was show me how these kids nowadays, it's almost like when they're in the real world, it's that isn't the real world to them. It's almost like that is just a weird gap time that they're just itching to get back onto their phone. They're just
Yeah.
saying, "Oh my gosh, like this is so boring. Let me get back to reality," which isn't reality. Now they're scrolling to them. It has become the real, and the world has become the boring, dopamine less nothingness. Just oh my gosh, I can't wait to get another fix on my phone, right?
So true.
So
Yeah.
it's now with AI making that even a more of a dopamine release every time you're seeing a video, because you're not just seeing what was a hook generated kind of intro, but now everything in the background, like you said, is being generated by something that's like, oh my gosh, I can't take my eyes away from this phone. It's
Yeah.
really scary what we're stepping into. And you're saying, in the first 5 years of these algorithms, you've needed a device to help pull you back to reality. You have a fully developed frontal lobe and you're a smart guy with a family. These kids don't have that ability, and I could tell you, I don't think a lot of them are going to want to put a device on their phone to take them away from it, right?
No.
So it'd
Yeah.
be really, really good for this to, take off and spread and get people away from some of these other apps that suck all of your time and energy away.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, it'd be really good to just,
Yeah.
you allocate your 30 minutes to it, you catch up, you see, oh my gosh, my friends posted some cool pictures, you repost one post, and then you're out.
Yeah.
You post your one picture, and you don't have to post a picture every day either. I mean, as someone who's not the biggest Instagram poster, maybe at the peak of Instagram was posting once every couple of weeks, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's not something that, your everyday user needs to feel pressure to post on, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
get on there and be like, oh, I got to keep up. You're going to get your one post a day. If you miss a day, who cares?
Yeah.
So yeah, in
And
this day and age of AI, who knows what we're going to see in the next 5 years. So I'm right there with you. I'm
yeah, man.
scared.
And I talk to a lot of creators that are like, well, I make a living off, YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And that doesn't mean, if you're on one post, you can't occasionally post over there to monetize. But I
100%.
think yeah, I think it needs to we just have to kind of rethink how we are spending time, because not only is it terrifying for me personally as a father, especially because freaking oh boy at Instagram, Adam, the founder was, or not founder, CEO, Adam Mosea. What was his name? His last name?
I should probably know this.
Eh, no.
There's
It- you
someone
don't-
coming right at these
yeah,
guys.
you only got to remember people that are important to you, so it's fine. But yeah,
Love it. I won't forget Tony.
thank you. So, but he came out the other day and he's like, all right, good news for parents that were worried about their kids on social media. We've created teen restrictions. So now their feed is only going to be as if they go to a PG-13 movie. So don't
Interesting.
worry, parents. We're protecting your kids by allowing them to still scroll, but it's going to be safe content, we promise. And then,
Mm.
I think of that because I don't know if you've updated your phone, but it's one of the first things that's pop up and it says review, terms and conditions. And I read through it and I'm like, why is this a thing?
Mm.
Why do we even have kids the capability to use these phones when they're in their teens? That's so fucking crazy. The fact that you have to put in precautions because so many people the last 20 years have literally ruined their lives. Predators in the DM, talking to, underage kids, and so many instances where you can just go down the line and take a look at it. And it took 20 years to get, but now we're here, so we trust you. That's like Big Pharma saying, hey, we haven't cured anything in 100 years, but take this new vaccine. Like, hold on, what? Can we do some
That is
testing?
a
Can we figure this out?
fantastic analogy.
Like, what is it's
Fantastic
again, as
analogy.
a parent, it hurts because I was even hanging out with some buddies a couple weekends ago, and they all have kids, and there was a lot of them, which I'm trying to tell the story without calling them out directly. But there's a lot of them that they're busy and they got multiple kids and they got more kids coming. And then they have friends that also have kids. And I'm talking, we're hanging out, we're having a good time. I don't drink, but they were drinking, having a blast. Inhibitions are lowered a little bit. Me and my wife are sober and have been for a while. And we're looking at these kids just running around, doing their own thing. And they get lost for a couple minutes. And the parents are like, where the heck is so-and-so? And we're like, oh, they're over there behind that tree. They're hanging out playing. And then the other kid is hanging out on an iPad and playing. Mm. And I'm like, and they're, 3, 4, 5 years old. And what's terrifying to me is these are people that obviously I love and I've known for years, but life is busy. And I understand how it is to just give a kid an iPad as a babysitter. But we take pride that our kid is 2 and she's never held an iPad. She doesn't know what a phone is except for how to FaceTime with somebody. And we'll do that together. She doesn't get TV time. And if she does, it's like non-stimulating Bear in the Big Blue House, Barney, old school in the 90s, because it's not a crazy hit of dopamine, you know what I mean? But you look at like,
man.
Yeah, it was the best. And so it's just hard because I know as she gets older and older and she becomes more aware of all these other kids that are playing with phones, it's like I just want to like have a big microphone on the top of my roof and say, quit giving your kids a fucking phone because you're making it harder for me as a dad because I'm the asshole that doesn't quote unquote let my kid have a phone. No, bro, like you're the bad guy here. You shouldn't let your kid have a phone. But this is the world that we're in where we think these things, we just think they're everything. And there's so many great tools and I use it every day. Like I said, I have a content business. So I get the benefits of it, but it makes us kind of diminish what life is. Mm. And like all these people that I'm mentioning where we're talking about like their kids and everything, like we were just watching our kid have a blast with other kids. We were staring at her the whole time. And a couple friends, they nudge me. They say, hey, man, what's up? How you doing? And I go, hold on one sec, buddy. And I'm just watching my kid because fuck you. I'm not going to look at your new video that you made on your phone. Give me a second. Let me enjoy watching my kid in real time. And that's what you should be doing. Like, we could still hang out. But, dude, you're missing everything, bro. Like, it's crazy.
It is 100% crazy. And I couldn't agree more. The fact that, like, we tend to adapt to these trends and the way that things are. And sure, phones have taken over, but it's hilarious because so much of that has been adopted. Now you're the crazy one for saying, like, I don't want my kid to have this thing by the time she's, oh, well, you're cutting her short. She's not going to be, up to speed by the time it's like, no, that's not how this works, right? The important things, like you said, is that kid climbing the tree, hitting the baseball outside and laughing and seeing a real smile be generated on your kid's face because of something that happened out there in the real world. It's sad to see how far back we've gone. And it seems like, I don't know if we can ever recover and get to a point where that's normalized to not let your kid have exposure to everything out there at such a young age. It's mortifying, actually. And me, as someone who would love to have kids one day, I think about that all the time. So I couldn't agree with you more. And to touch on your point about Instagram rolling out this thing for kids, right? And saying, oh, don't worry, we're going to protect them. If anything, that just feels like they're tracking them and, preying on their data more.
Even
by saying,
more, yeah.
Oh, let's track these kids' tendencies and put that in a specific data bucket where now we know, oh, under 14 loves this. Like, weird. So just a weird day and age we're in. And as someone that definitely wants to be a father one day, I'm concerned about all those things. So it must be tough, are you a newer father?
Yeah. So she's our first and she just turned 2. And it is tough. I mean, the one benefit that I think, friends would argue with me on this point is that I mean, at least I'm the only one that I know in my friend group, but me and my wife both work from home. So we don't do childcare either, just because, again, I'm not hating on people that do childcare because I know it's a necessity, because if you have to go into work, I mean, that's a problem. That's another issue with America's healthcare system as a whole, because I include childcare into healthcare. It's like, if we're not getting some sort of tax break or something on childcare, that's crazy because you don't know the long-term effects of you're missing your kid's first steps, you're missing your kid's first time she says, chair, like all those things you're not taking that into account when you drop off your kid for 6 hours a day. And by the way, it costs $2,000 a month. Like what? So a lot of friends would say, well, you're lucky, dude, because you work from home and your wife works from home. And yeah, well, it's not luck. That's intentional. I've turned down dozens of jobs that pay me twice as much as what I make as a business owner, but I chose less money and more time with my kid. This is not rocket science. This is not crazy. It's you want to make more money so you can buy a new car and a bigger house, and you want to go to Disney World every 2 weeks. I don't want those things. I'd rather have time with my kid. So, this is hopefully the values we're trying to instill into our child, to where, to your point, it is tough, but as she gets older, similar to like Halloween's right around the corner, we're choosing to have her not eat the candy. Not because we don't want her to enjoy the little delicacies in life. I mean, she had a cupcake at a birthday party the other day, but we took off the frosting because we live in America and Publix wants people to be obese and they load it with frosting. So we took that off. But, at the same time, it's okay that she indulges, but she's going to learn as she gets older. Everyone asks me, they're like, well, what about the phone? What about AI coming up? Don't you want her to learn? She's going to learn about all that shit. She's going to learn about there is no good research saying that you should have a Snickers. There's no research saying that it's good to have a Snickers. Zero. So our kid, when she's old enough to understand these types of things, just like there's no research saying it's good to be on your phone for 8 hours a day scrolling. There's no research that backs up that claim that that's a good idea. So she's going to use critical thinking when she's old enough. Obviously, we're talking years down the road, but she's going to understand, why does every kid have a phone? I don't know. That's not your problem, though. They could do whatever they want. But you know that phones are bad for you. You know that Milky Ways are bad for you. You know all that. Now, when you're old enough, you can make a decision if you want to have those things. But when you're with us, we want to protect you from dangers, which is the reason why she's not going to get a tattoo when she's 5. And she's not going to do a line of cocaine when she's 11. Like, this is not rocket. This is not crazy. And when I tell fellow parents this, they're like, you're not going to let her have Twizzlers? No.
Yeah, and she can't have McDonald's every day?
Why not? And I said, this is my argument every time I go, do you have Twizzlers every day and nothing else? Well, no. I go, why not? Well, because that's unhealthy. I go, okay, and you're 35. I'm not going to give my 2-year-old candy. Like, what the fuck? What madness are you talking about, bro? It's like, it's the same thing with the phone where people don't think logically down the road. And me, I've been known to be irrational and sometimes too logical and forward thinking by my wife mostly, where she says, who gives a shit? It's 5 years from now. I go, this is what we got to think of. These are things.
Don't be unapologetic for those things, Tony.
Yeah, dude.
Do not be unapologetic.
Because you can't.
Do not be apologetic, my fault.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, because you can't. Like, have you ever had drugs? Like, you don't have to say, but me, I used to take drugs all the time, like a lot of narcotics. Before I was, married, and I had a blast. I partied a lot. Let me tell you something. Drugs are fucking awesome, okay? But here's the reason why I loved drugs back in the day. Because I tried them, and they're awesome. If you smoke crack, I guarantee you're going to love it. I've never had crack, but it sounds amazing. There's don't have crack. That's how to not get hooked on crack. Just don't have it.
You've seen Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yes.
That scene?
Come on, Quaaludes and crap. I mean, it looks like such a good time. So
Looks like
don't have it, right? Like, if you don't want to get eaten by a great white, don't go surfing in Australia. Like, these are things that they're not rocket science. We can avoid them. But when you give a kid Twizzlers at the age of 2, she's going to want it when she's 3 and 4 and 5. And next thing you know, she's going to be obese, and then you got a problem. So I don't know. It's like, these are things I think when you don't drink and you're at home with your kid, you're able to kind of use logical thinking, critical thinking, and just put these pieces together. And when you're not scrolling, because, I think to your point earlier is when we're scrolling and we're looking at all these different things that Instagram is feeding us, it's like they're feeding us things we like, but more often than not, these are not things that we are around in person, right? Like, my wife gets fed like Kim Kardashian and like Victoria Beckham and like, Gucci and all this stuff. She doesn't have a Gucci bag, but she loves these things and she likes them. And and Meta's feeding her these because eventually she's going to buy a Gucci bag from an ad.
Hmm.
Like, but she doesn't have a Gucci bag. So this is just a very fascinating time we're in to where we're consuming things that we don't have. It's all the wants. It's all
Mm.
the freaking addicting spices that we want to taste. And sometimes you look at that phone and you're like, it's better on the phone than in real life. And I think
Yep.
that's where you were talking about earlier, where it's almost like real life is like the fantasy. And
Oh, it's
it's
crazy to
so,
see that flip.
yeah, it's so weird. And a short amount of time, too. A lot of people don't understand. I mean,
Yeah. And
very
to
short
touch on
amount of
some of
time.
your previous points there, you were talking about candy and also social media and how all these things are set up to inevitably have your kid hooked on the wrong dang thing down the road, what's
Yeah.
a scarier conversation to have is the companies at the top of these funnels that are driving all of these things. It's really scary to think when it's like 4 or 5 companies that own a majority stake in every single one of these industries you were talking about.
Oof. Yeah.
So to say that they don't feed each other, and now it's like it's funny how people say, "Oh, you must be a conspiracist if you think all these things are interconnected." And to me, it's almost like you must not have anything going on up there if you don't think these things are connected at this point.
Yeah.
That Twizzlers driving Red 40, which inevitably causes cancer. Who owns the large pharmaceuticals that are producing these $1 million cancer drugs? The same companies that have a majority stake in the candy companies, in the music companies, in Instagram, in everything
Yeah.
tracking data and algorithms. It's I think we share that mindset. So it's funny to say that these aren't connected because
Yeah.
every same company is profiting from those same things, right?
For sure.
And
For
you
sure.
touched on addiction. Pharmaceuticals pushing, terrifying opioids that got people hooked
Yeah.
terribly in the 80s and 90s, right? And now we've seen the after effects where they're not producing these drugs anymore. So synthetic drugs are being sent from China and down south and getting people hooked on the streets. I live here in San Francisco, and the fentanyl
Oof.
epidemic here is just absurd, right? But the same
Yeah.
companies that are producing the Suboxone to help people get off of the stuff that got them addicted originally, right? Same
It's
companies.
yeah. And it's
So
always
it's
the
really
same.
weird.
It's the same formula. Like they're very smart. Like, people could look this up, but I forget which cigarette companies, but back in the 60s and 70s, the cigarette, I think it was Philip Morris actually. Philip
Yeah.
Morris ended up saying, "Oh no, cigarettes are good. They help you with XYZ." Doctors started
Yep.
prescribing them, and the next thing you know, all these studies came out where now it causes lung cancer. So like, "Oh shit, we need to flip the script. Let's take that same addictive formula we did for cigarettes, let's apply it to food." And they ended up buying these
Hmm.
large food companies. And this is why we have all these crazy addictive ingredients only in America. Every other country they're banned. But
It's terrifying.
the reason why a lot of companies like to have shit here in America is because our restrictions are laxy daisy, and they know we will eat anything and we will put anything in our face because that's the American way. Do whatever the fuck I want because I'm gonna have a steak and smoke a cigar and have some whiskey because I'm American.
Hmm.
God damn it. I'm gonna do what I
And what's
fuck you for telling me steak is bad. Go fuck yourself. Like what? Hold on, buddy.
and if you want to eat stuff that doesn't come in plastic or isn't ultra processed now, you have to pay exponentially more too. So it's kind of putting some of, middle America and lower end America in a position where one, they don't know any better, and two, they don't have another option,
Yeah.
because a lot of people aren't educating themselves on what's in their food and stuff. And if you turn a bag around and you're seeing stuff that you can't pronounce, I can guarantee that's not in your daily suggested diet from any
Yes.
actual doctor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. It's a weird day and age we're living in, and who knows where this is gonna go. But to bring it back to one post is, I think, gonna be really good for people to, like you said, allocate a little bit more time to real life, not feel so preyed upon by these algorithms and these data tracking and scraping companies, right? I
Right.
think it's going to be really, really refreshing for people to have a reset button and to realize, hey, this isn't owned by those same entities. BlackRock will never have a stake in this. Vanguard's not going to have a stake in this. I want to build this to the point where it gets self-sustainable, where I don't ever have to think about selling out to somebody. So I think the future is very bright for this platform. It could help a lot of people, and I want to reassure anyone that's hesitant about joining because of, hey, are you aligned with these morals, or do you agree with this, that, and the other? It's like, hey, Like, I'm not going to sell out to these big conglomerates because I don't want this to turn into another platform that's the same as everything else. I think this
Yeah.
could really, really help a lot of people and help restore what life is all about.
Yeah.
Post a picture, get back outside, go talk to your kids, go hit the baseball, go laugh.
Yeah.
Um, no more fast hit dopamine. We're not preying on kids. We're not preying on
Yeah.
adults. We're not pushing Gucci bags to your wife. Like, we're not trying to set people up like that. And
Yeah.
sure, if she wants to follow the Gucci brand and see the new bag that they put out, it's totally fine. But
Sure.
I'm not going to make her be subjected to an advertisement that preys on what she likes.
Yeah. And I mean, that's great to hear, dude. And have you thought about like kids on the platform? Like, is this going to be 18 and up, or is this going to be you can have your own account like you can on YouTube? Like, or have you not gotten that far yet?
We're thinking about those things, and that's a huge priority for me just as much as data security is.
Yeah.
Something that's a non-negotiable is unless you follow someone and they follow you back, if they send you a direct message, anything that's not, if you don't, both parties aren't mutually following each other, those messages get rerouted to a request tab, which you're given disclaimer after disclaimer after disclaimer. Hey, we're not scraping these pictures to see if, there's weird crap in here.
Yeah.
If you want to access these requested messages, be warned that we aren't proofing this. We don't know who's
Yeah.
sending you stuff. We don't know
Yeah.
what they sent you. If you see a link, if you see a picture, I would delete it and block it immediately and don't even open it, right?
Yeah.
We will make it so clear to our users that we don't want you seeing things that you didn't ask to see. I don't want some nice girl opening her DMs and seeing a message from some weirdo, right?
Yeah.
So we've thought about these things, and I've made it clear to my developers that is a non-negotiable no matter what. I don't
Nice.
care if they pay the highest tier. If you want to DM someone, they have to follow you back for you have access to that immediately populated in your DM center. Otherwise, you have to agree 5-6 times before you get to that next window where you can access that stuff. Because the last thing I want is some of these situations where kids have been exposed to things they don't need to be exposed to.
Yeah.
That is if we even let kids into the platform, but regardless of that, those messages will always have to be agreed upon to view.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we've been thinking about. And I know you also mentioned AI content, and it's a tough thing to think about because nowadays if someone develops AI content, goes into the app like a picture, right, and goes into the app and uploads it, it's hard to say
Yeah.
if it's AI generated or not. Here's what we are going to do because of that concept right there. Um, there won't be a camera feature within the DM section. So it's like I can't create something that gets populated to this platform anywhere unless it was posted officially through your feed and your one post a day. Sure, I can share a picture that you posted to my friend, but I can't hop right into a DM section, take a weird picture, and send it to someone. It will always be pushed through the posting process for it to be exposed onto the app. And that's the only type of pictures you can ever share to people. So that will
Yeah.
give us really good control over what the heck is going on to the feeds and who
That's
can
awesome.
possibly see something in a content section or in a DM section, right?
Yeah.
Because there won't be the feature of, hey, let me just pull out my camera feature and send whatever to anyone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's something I've thought about, and I think that'd be a really good way to sway people away from seeing stuff they don't want to see,
Yeah. No,
and
that's
having
a great
control over
idea.
what's on there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And also too, I think a big thing is what you're mentioning. If you like, imagine if your developers, because I know I know a lot of people nowadays, a lot of users anyway, are probably lower than 18. Unfortunately, look at like TikTok, and there's a lot of 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. I mean, I would probably say they take over more than like people above 40, right? In terms of
Yeah,
like demo, if you were to grab it, which is a problem, I think. But if one post was to have 18 and up only, there's two like from afar looking at it, it's like, oh, does that mean there's sensitive content? It's like it's hard to
mm,
kind of word it like you got to be 18 to have one post, and then how is there going to be verification? Because there's a lot of different laws or different states are different when it comes to verifying sites. But I think this is where like you can really separate yourself because every social media app allows teens,
mhm,
even Google and YouTube.
mm.
It's like if you can find a way to word it and make not that part of your massive campaign by any means, but to me as a parent, and I know a lot of people would agree with me, that's huge because if they have a phone, what is wrong with social media? Well, the problem is they have the phone and they're able to go on social media.
Yeah,
But if they had only
exactly.
an app like a One Post where they could just post a cool photo, but there's no other crazy content,
Mm.
now you got a distinction between you and these other social media platforms. Because that's the
Yep.
one thing that terrifies me is just I don't trust people. Humans, I think, are mostly good, but when it comes to social media, especially as someone who's been in the business and has a podcast, I've I've talked to people on my podcast that talk shit in the comments. I say, hey, let's stop arguing. Nothing gets solved in the comments. Why don't you hop on my podcast? Let's shoot the shit.
Yeah.
And I've worked through discussions and arguments, and we've come to a realization. But then it made me think after doing this for years that, oh, you're not a piece of shit in real life, but on social media, you're a dick. So how many thousands and millions of people are just assholes on social media, but in real life they're a good human being, but they think that the walls are down and they could say whatever the fuck they want because there's no repercussions for their actions. And I think that is the problem with social media. It's like this, we're the fly on the wall that could like say anything and we could look up
Yeah,
anybody
and
and you know.
dude, I couldn't agree more. You're right. And what's funny is there's a lot of that lost in translation stuff that happens online between
Mm,
comments, but then you get face to face with someone, you're seeing their facial expressions, the way they are, who they are, and it's like, oh, we can have a conversation. And it's funny how we've lost that ability in today's day and age because now you
yeah.
might have a different opinion than me. Now we can't have a conversation about it because everyone gets emotionally involved and too sensitive about certain things. And it's like,
Right.
that isn't just important, it's necessary for society to evolve and progress. We have to have these tough conversations. Like you said, are you going to let the 18 or under 18 in? That's a
Yeah.
tough conversation that no one really wants to touch upon because of all the implications that come in with that convo.
Yeah.
However, it's necessary, right? And
Yeah.
I have been thinking about that a lot. So I appreciate you bringing it up, and it's something that I definitely will think about hardcore. So yeah, stepping into the future of it, it's like, hey, if we have to have a tough conversation about it, I'm going to sit down with my developer team and the rest of the talented people that we're building along with One Post, and we're going to come to a decision that is best for the future of the platform.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically the approach when it comes to those tough conversations. But like you said, man, it's tough to have some of them
Yeah.
because people are, caught up in whatever their opinion is. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey man, get out from behind that keyboard. Let's talk face to face and really hash
Yeah.
out what's really bothering you, right? Another thing is, I don't know if you've heard about this dead internet theory. Heard anything
Yeah.
about that? Where it's like 90% of the time you're probably arguing with an AI
With the bot.
generated bot.
Yeah.
The thing was posting a comment to try to rage bait people into exchanging with it, and then eventually it'll be like, click this link if you want to, and then it's trying to sell you some product or get some
Yep.
virus on you, and it's like, hey. So that's another thing we're gonna really
Yeah.
do our best to avoid is make sure the humans signing up are humans.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not the easiest thing to do nowadays because these bots have become so advanced, but um, I'm really, really encouraged by what this development team has been putting together. They're incredible. They're so talented. I don't
That's
know the
awesome.
first thing about some of the technical stuff that they're bringing up in our Discord, and it's just cool to see that they're thinking about this stuff too, but from an experienced technical perspective that I need.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna do everything we can to not let AI generated content or bots into the platform. But like you said, in the next 5 years, who knows how advanced some of these things are gonna get. So
I
we're gonna
know. Like
fight.
I,
We're gonna do our best.
I even thought when I started growing a good following on TikTok, which I know you got a good following too, but like when I started engaging with people and like inviting people onto my podcast and stuff, I always thought like it'd be a rad feature specifically on TikTok is what I was thinking because like it's so hardcore into live. But I thought it'd be cool like instead of doing it because you could do a video reply and make a video replying to a comment on TikTok.
Yeah.
How cool would it be if like you can just say, let's do a live chat real quick, and then it pops you up into the live channel and you can either deny it or accept it if someone invites you. And then denying it, you have to give a reason why. And obviously if no one gives a reason, that's a bot. Like that was
Very.
That was my thinking, where it was like, how rad would that be? Because imagine how many times, obviously it'd be good content to watch, but if
Hmm.
someone's arguing in the comments, I don't want to be optimistic and say, oh, this is going to solve everything. But I feel like you just don't get the opportunity to talk to people. And if you call
Hmm.
someone out on their shit, like, oh, I voted for Trump. Oh, yeah, I voted for Harris. Well, let's talk about it and debate. Boom, it's in the
Yeah.
comments. People are going to follow that. But also, you might actually come to some common ground and maybe you follow each other and become friends online. I feel like we're not doing so many conversations. And I've learned so much having this podcast that if you just talk to people, it de-escalates so much versus going into the comments and it is ruthless. Like,
We go back and forth in these comments and think that there's no similarities we share with the person you're arguing with. And as soon as you get face to face, I am a firm believer that a root of human nature is we share a lot more similarities than we differ, whether it's skin color, religion, sexual orientation, where
for
you're
sure.
from, what your political view is. Like, I promise I can sit down with anyone and we're going to have 10 times more thing we can relate to than what we differ. So when you get
Yeah,
face to face, I think those things come to light
for
naturally,
sure.
where we're like so hyper focused on, oh, I
Yeah,
want to get my point across on why this guy's wrong when we're in these comments. And I couldn't agree more. Like, you get
yeah.
face to face and have that opportunity. It could be a game changer. I actually have a meeting with a guy this week who I was connected to through my CFO at Asana, and he's building out a platform called Gabble. And Gabble essentially is kind of what you're describing. It's a open space for debate to happen, where you
Ooh,
can get upvotes and downvotes based on your response and your argument, and then like officially there becomes a winner based on the
overall voting.
different
Yeah,
yeah, whatever,
yeah.
right?
That's
But
cool.
cool concept, kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. I'll
Yeah,
definitely share it with you. But yeah, I'm chatting with him this week just because as a first time founder, love meeting with anyone that's built and scaled something out. And
of course.
yeah, would love to pick his brain. So I'll definitely circle back with you and let you know about that.
Yeah, and
But yeah.
anything you could do to differentiate yourself from those other ones. Because the one thing I've noticed with TikTok, obviously with all its success since the pandemic, Instagram has obviously mirrored everything that they do, which is no surprise. Obviously, Instagram's really good at that, and Facebook in general is just good at copying,
They
stealing
just
ideas.
take everybody's feature.
Yeah,
They took stories from Snapchat and took the reels from
yeah.
TikTok. It's incredible.
And now here they are, Monopoly. They're kicking ass. I don't think they'll ever be as good as TikTok because I think TikTok's one good benefit is the algorithm, where it does give you things that you like to see. But to your point
Yes.
earlier, to circle it back, that's also the problem why we are so addicted. And even though I could make the argument as devil's advocate here, without that, without that without that algorithm on TikTok, I would have never met you, right? So
I wouldn't
there's
have I wouldn't be building what I'm building
right.
currently,
So
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 there's
there's
place
good and
for it.
yeah, there's good and bad for it, but I think just like everything else, we have to understand there's the Cheesecake Factory and then there's not going into the Cheesecake Factory. Like, it's okay to
Yes.
have these things, but you also have to understand that you don't have to go in there. You don't have to be there 24/7. And I
Yeah.
think what's going to be great about your app is it's a good way to disconnect. Like, it still gives you that like little bit of, I kind of want to share my trip to Nashville
Mhm.
instead of, let me share the trip to Nashville and then I'm going to scroll for 5 hours. Like,
Mhm. And then
there's a
post 3 stories, and
right.
then worry about what music I'm curating for
Yeah.
the post, and then, "Oh, I gotta click that Gucci bag." Like,
Right, right,
and then you're
right.
$300 gone before you left your house that day, and you're like, "What
Yeah.
the heck just happened to me?" You know?
Right. And a lot of people don't understand. You also have ignored your spouse this whole time too. You've
Yeah,
ignored your
oh my
kids
god,
this
and
whole
your
time.
kid
Like, it's
grew up. Oh, she said her first word, like
it's so crazy, dude. So I no,
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is great, man. So congrats on the idea. I think it's going to pop for sure. And
Thank you,
of
man.
course, as you grow, I'm happy to help promote it when you get going. I think it's very interesting. I think I could resonate a lot with it, and I just think it's a good idea, man. So keep up the good work. I know it's tough. When do you guys have a like, where are you at in the process in terms of like, obviously you don't have the app up and running yet, but where do you think you're at? If people want to know more about it, do you have a site up and running yet, or?
Yes, man. Yeah. So
Okay.
would love to plug myself for a second.
Please,
We're
please.
rolling out a beta in the next couple weeks. We'll have something for people to get on and start engaging with, and we can dog food it and implement new features and iterate. We've got over 1,000 people on the pre-registration list right now. You can sign up at onepost.pro. It's onepost.pro. Takes you right to the sign up list. You fill out a little information just so we know, hey, how'd you find us? What are you interested about? What do you hate about modern socials?
Yeah.
And then also a referral possibility in there. So if you take your unique link that gets generated after submitting that form, share it with some people and get them to join the pre-registration list. First 50,000 people, we're going to give an official green check to when the
Ooh.
app actually gets rolled out. So I think it's a great way to incentivize sharing, getting more people on there. We just want to build a good foundation so we can accept feedback, absorb
Yeah.
it, and utilize it and implement it into the new iterations of the platform, right? So we'll have a beta rolling out soon. OnePost.pro is the link to go to. There's a Kickstarter as well if anyone wants to support in terms of, you know, financing.
Sure.
Can't
Yeah.
promise any equity to anyone right now,
Right. Yeah.
but the Kickstarter is in my bio on my TikTok. It's Bucky Jugs on TikTok, BUCKYJUGGS. Kind of a hilarious name.
Yeah.
Origin story there. I'm sure we can talk about on another podcast episode.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You
really,
might have
really
to think
appreciate it.
you might have to think about changing that username, bro, when this thing pops off, dude.
I think so.
You
It's a
know?
little
Like
immature, to be
you could
honest.
just be you could just be like, Zuckerberg is Zuck. You could just be Ian, like at Ian.
Yeah, that'd
Just
be cool.
fucking
Funny enough, there's a rapper that really blew up lately. His name is Ian, and
ooh,
I think he might have snagged that handle. But on our platform, I'll be Ian.
my guy. That's awesome, dude. Well, listen, man, I'm excited. I'll leave everything down in the description below for people that are just listening, as well as I'll leave your TikTok and all that so people can go check it out. But just keep up the good work, man. So I know you're also doing this as a side hustle. So just keep it going, dude, and we'll do this again, maybe in person next time.
Yeah, would love to. I'm always in Florida. I've got a bunch of friends and family over there. So next time I'm east, I will definitely reach out. And yeah, thanks again for doing this, Tony. Thanks for putting on a podcast like this to give people a voice and have these kind of conversations. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's to come with One Post. And yeah, be on the lookout. It's gonna have an iOS version, an Android version, and a web browser version. So no
Nice.
limitations there. We want to try to get in every country possible worldwide. If your country will allow it, it'll be there. So yeah,
Nice.
thank you again.
Yeah, no, man. Thank you. And I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna be the 1,000th person. So I'm gonna go and pre-register. So I hope everyone else does
Please.
too. That's awesome. It's down in the description below. But Ian, thanks again, man. Keep it up.
Really appreciate it, Tony. Have a great one.
You too, buddy.